This week on I Watched This as an Adult Movie Reviews, I give my thoughts on the first 2 episodes of She-Hulk and my thoughts on Phase 4 in general, and I also review the 1989 buddy cop action film Lethal Weapon 2. All this and more on I Watched This as an Adult Movie Reviews.
Hey there, I'm Jim.
And I'm Matt.
I'm Dusty.
From Dad's Doing Nerd Shit.
A podcast on the Fandom Limb Media Network.
We talk about all kinds of nerdy stuff.
From Dungeons & Dragons to the MCU.
From video games to semi-current space news.
And anything else that catches our attention.
New episodes go live every Monday morning on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
We can also be found on Facebook, Instagram, and the Twitter.
So roll the dice and join us as we discuss the things we love and the culture around being a nerd.
Still in control, no overwhelming feelings of rage.
No! A normal amount of rage!
You do revert back to Gen form when you sleep.
Was the air horn really necessary?
For comedy, absolutely. This is a multi-year journey you're about to embark on.
Yes!
Yeah. Who's your best friend?
Nikki.
Spandex. Spandex is your best friend. Being a Hulk asks for balance. You have so much more to learn. Yes!
So I'm clearly nailing it at all these things.
If you want to go back to your life as a lawyer, I respect that.
He doesn't mean that.
More and more eccentric superhumans are coming out of the woodwork. We're going to launch a division for them. And I want the She-Hulk to be the face of it.
Jennifer Waters. Namaste.
I have a serious conflict of interest. This man tried to kill my cousin, Bruce.
Yeah, that's quite all right.
Oh. People only care because I'm representing Emil Blonsky. I think they care because they're like, hey, that girl's green. Jen, do your thing. God, I really like this outfit. I'm not proud of this.
Miss Walters, we answer to a higher power. Our universe is on the edge of a precipice.
I am a lawyer. We do things by the book.
The Book of Ashanti.
No, the Book of American laws.
Whether you like it or not, you're now a superhero.
Let's do this. You know that friend you had in high school who was way cooler than you were attractive, got all the attention from everyone? Hello.
I think I'm jealous. Is that what I'm feeling?
Hello and welcome to I Watched This as an Adult Movie Reviews. I'm your host, Mikkel Ford. Let's get into talking about She-Hulk. The bad news about not having an episode last week was I didn't have an episode last week. But the good news about not having an episode last week that I don't get to talk about 1 episode of She-Hulk. I get to talk about 2 episodes of She-Hulk. Let's talk about She-Hulk episode 1 and episode 2. I'm gonna combine the 2 because I just don't feel like going step by step, into like the storylines and of each episode. I'm not gonna run down each episode one by one. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of, like, you watch the show. If you watch the show, you watch the show. You know what happened. But first off, I want to talk about how quickly, let's talk about how quickly Jennifer Walters became the She-Hulk. Like, I want to say she became the She-Hulk like 2 minutes, maybe not even that, maybe a minute into the show. Because at the beginning of the show, we got Jennifer Walters, played by Tatiana Maslany. I'll get more into her later. She's driving in a car. I don't know where she's driving to, but she's got Bruce Banner, played by Mark Ruffalo, in the car. His arm is still in a sling. Right? His arm is still in the sling. So I'm guessing that this takes place after Shang-Chi. Is what I'm guessing. I'm guessing this takes place after the events of Shang-Chi, because Bruce Banner shows up at the end of Shang-Chi, and he's got his arm in a sling. So that's what I'm guessing. I'm guessing this shows up at the end of Shang-Chi. So they're talking about Captain America like having sex or some shit. They're talking about that. And then all of a sudden, a spaceship just flies like right in front of them. Like, it just lands right in front of them, and they run off the road. And they're all bloody and stuff. Jennifer has an open wound. Bruce has an open wound, and some of his gamma blood. And what happens is, like, some of his gamma blood gets into Jennifer's open wound, and that's how she becomes the She-Hulk. It's a lot less violent than how she really becomes the She-Hulk, because I believe in the comics, she gets shot. And Bruce gives her a blood transfusion so she can live, and that's how she becomes a She-Hulk. I guess they didn't want to go that gruesome, that violent, that quick. So it was like, let's say they get in a car accident, and like his blood mixes with her blood. They're cousins. They're cousins. So his blood just mixes with her blood, and that's how she becomes the She-Hulk. A lot of things I want to talk. Like I said, a lot of things I want to talk about with this episode. A lot of things going through my head about this episode, about both episodes, really. Just about the show in general, actually. Just about the show in general, because I want to talk about the elephant in the room. But I'm not gonna talk about it just yet. Hulk trains Jennifer. He trains Jennifer because Bruce turns back into Smart Hulk, and like when they're together, like he's just Bruce Banner. Then he turns into Smart Hulk. He says that Jennifer's blood, like the mixture of the blood between the two of them, healed his arm, so his arm's okay now. If you remember, he broke his arm. He injured his arm after he snapped with the Infinity Gauntlet and brought everybody back. So you saw Avengers Endgame, but anyway, he talks about that, and he just starts training Jennifer, and it's fun. It's a fun little training montage. He gets jealous of her because she can do everything better than him. You know, like she's more flexible than him. She's stronger than him, because like they get into a pissing contest when they start throwing boulders. So you can throw boulders the farthest, you know, and all that shit. He gets a little jealous, he pushes her off a fucking cliff and calls her a punk. He does that. But I love the chemistry. I love the chemistry between Tatiana Maslany and Mark Ruffalo. They have great chemistry. You believe that they're cousins. You know, you believe that they're family. He has a nickname for her. He calls her Fuzzball. You know, I like that. He has a nickname for her, because like all cousins kind of like tease each other and like fuck with each other. You know. So I like that they got that element with each other, with like they kind of like poke fun at each other and they tease each other. You know, because like everybody does that with their cousins. I do it with my cousins. You know, like there's like you always like poke fun at your cousins, you needle your cousins a little bit, and you get a little annoyed and shit, you know. So, yeah, but like I like that. I like that they have that dynamic. Yeah, and then like he's pretty much just trying to train her. He's pretty much just trying to train her and teach her, you know, how to control herself. But she doesn't have that vengeful rage monster that Bruce has inside of him that he recently learned how to control. So like he's just like, you don't have that? And even he said like, I'm kind of jealous, you know, because like Bruce has a lot of childhood trauma, which I'm gonna get into with episode 2, which because they kind of retcon that shit in episode 2, but Bruce had I'm just gonna talk about it right now. I'm not even gonna get to it in episode 2, but because like episode 2, I kind of felt like they kind of inadvertently retcon Bruce Banner's upbringing. Like they retcon his upbringing, they retcon his home life, because everybody knows that Bruce Banner turns into this rage monster. You know about the gamma radiation and all that stuff, but the rage monster really comes out of him because he can't control his anger, because he had such a traumatic childhood. Like his father used to beat his ass. You know, like his father used to beat him. Used to beat the fuck out of him, and that's kind of, and that childhood trauma and that childhood anger manifested itself into the Incredible Hulk. So, but episode 2 kind of retcons that shit, because Jennifer goes to see her family. She goes to see her parents. Her father, played by Marklin Baker. He's the guy from Perfect Stranger that's not Belky. I haven't watched Perfect Strangers in years. That's a show I haven't watched in decades. Like in years. I used to watch it a lot when I was a kid, like early kid, like when I was about like 4, 5, 6 years old. I used to love watching Perfect Strangers, because I used to love watching TGIF, all those shows used to like run together, you know, like Family Matters, which is a spinoff of Perfect Strangers, by the way. It like Family Matters, Perfect Strangers, Step by Step, whatever show was on, because like at the beginning it was Family Matters, Step by Step, Perfect Strangers, and whatever was at the end of that, that's what that was the other show. There was a lot of shows that came and went in that 8:30 spot or 9:30 spot Eastern time. I'm Central time. So because like I think the longest show that kept that spot is like Hanging with Mr. Cooper. Like that is like the longest running show in that 8:30 spot is Hanging with Mr. Cooper, because that show had like 5 seasons. I want to say like it ran from like 1992 to like 1997. So like they had the longest tenure in that spot. But I'm talking about She-Hulk. You don't want to hear about TGIF. You know, I always digress. I'm sorry. If you're new to the show, I tend to do that. I tend to digress and go into other stuff about pop culture. But I'm talking about She-Hulk here. Well, Margolin Baker plays her father, and he's very nerdy. You know, he's very nerdy. I don't know who is, because Bruce and Jen are cousins. I don't know who is related to who. I don't know if this is Bruce's dad's brother or Bruce's mom's brother or sister, or I don't know who's related to who, you know. But like Jen's side of the family seems well adjusted. They got a home. Her parents are very supportive of her. There's another side of the family. There's this young guy. I don't know if this is like Jennifer's brother or what. You know, I think he's probably a cousin of theirs too or something. But like he's kind of a douche. You know, he's kind of a douchebag. And it kind of retcons Bruce's home life. They kind of retconned it for comedy, really, because like it's a comedic scene where like Jen goes back home, and she's talking about I think this is when like she gets offered a new job. She gets offered a job to represent supervillains and superheroes and shit. Like her first case is like she's representing the Abomination, Emil Blonsky. I'll get more into that later. But I just felt like they retcon like the whole Banner family, for comedy. I guess this is like Jen's side of the family. I'm guessing that Jen's mom is related to Bruce's dad, is what I'm guessing, or so forth. I don't know which side of the family she's on, because like her last name is Walters, his last name is Banner. I don't know which side of the family she's on, but they know Bruce. I think they mentioned Bruce at the family dinner. I think he's like, I think like the father's like, how's Bruce and all this shit, So like I think they mentioned Bruce at dinner, so like they know what's going on with Bruce. They know that Bruce is the Hulk, of course, So but it just felt like they just retconned his whole kind of like storyline for comedy, and he's not even involved in it. That's how I felt. But yeah, like she's representing, but like yeah, like I say, like she starts representing like Emil Blonsky, played by Tim Roth. Tim Roth is back as Emil Blonsky. That was a pretty interesting scene to me, because like he's in the Supermax prison, which we're probably gonna go back to that. I'm looking forward to that, because like I'm sensing this episode gave me strong when they went to the Supermax prison. That scene gave me a strong fucking Thunderbolts setup. Like they're setting up Thunderbolts. Because they're in the Supermax prison. I think they're gonna bust. They're gonna not bust, but I think they're gonna take Emil Blonsky out of prison, and like he's gonna be a Thunderbolt. I think that's what's gonna happen, because like he explains his side of the story. Because he's like, I thought I was the hero, here. I did this to protect my country, or something like that. He said. He was like, that's pretty much what he was explaining himself. He was like, I didn't know that I was the bad guy. I was doing this to protect my country. Like the Hulk was a menace, and my country called on me, and they gave me the super soldier serum. I thought I was going to become Captain America, and I became this big green monster. So he was like, but everybody wants to come down on me and say I'm the villain. He was like, pretty much. He doesn't know. He really doesn't know that he's the bad guy. So that's an interesting twist on it. Like that's the twist that they're going to put on it when they put him in the Thunderbolts. So I think that's what they're gonna do. So they had to kind of retcon him to think that he's the hero. So other things happen with Emil later on too. So look, I'll get back to that. But this episode was really just about episode 2 was really just about establishing She-Hulk. Really, that's what it was about. It was just about establishing She-Hulk. Episode 1 was her learning her powers, and then people finding out she's the She-Hulk because Titana, played by Jamila Jamil, with her fucking sexy ass, like she is fine. Goddamn. Jamila Jamil is fine as fuck. But yeah, she's I don't know how many other episodes she shows up in. She probably shows up later on, because like I got a thing on my Twitter where like she shows up and like she's like vandalizing New York or some shit. You can go to my Twitter at WatchPod, WatchedPod, WATCHED pod. You go to WatchPod. I hope I spelled that right. I got a little clip of her like vandalizing She-Hulk stuff, you know. It's a really funny clip. So I don't know if they shot that for promo or they shot that for the show, but it's real funny. I would love to see more Titania. You know, I love to see more Titania. I love to see more Jamil. Like she shows up at the end of the first episode and she just basically gets her ass kicked by She-Hulk. It's a very quick fight. There's not a lot of fighting in episode 1, or there's no fighting at all in episode 2. So it's a slow build. You know. Let's talk about the elephant in the room now. There's a lot of how do I say this? How do I say what hasn't already been said? There's a lot of haters for this show. A lot of insecure little boys. That's right. That's what I call them. A lot of insecure little boys that hate this show. Like, she's a woman and she's supposed to be powerful, and this is, you know, the whole like, this ain't the MCU anymore, this is the MSHU, and shut the fuck up, bro. Just shut up. Because there's a scene in the first episode of She-Hulk. There's a couple of scenes in the first episode of She-Hulk where first off, there's a scene where like Jen is lost, and she gets lost in this bar. This is after she turns into She-Hulk, and like she just kind of like runs away and like stumbles into this bar, you know, and like all the women like help her. They help her get her together, and they're like, "Oh, girl, what's wrong with you?" You know, like they're like, "Girl, what's wrong with you? Let me help you out." You know, like they fix her up and all this stuff, but then like she goes outside the bar to wait for Bruce, and like she's waiting for Bruce. Cause like I think she said she had to get a phone. She asked one of the chicks for a phone. She's like, can I use your phone? I need to call my cousin. She was like, they're like, no problem, and all this stuff, right? So she's outside waiting for Bruce, and there's these 3 guys that come over and they start like harassing her, and she tells them like I'm not interested, like leave me alone. And then like she even feigns like having a boyfriend. She's like, I think I see my boyfriend over there, and you know, all that stuff, which is sad. You know, that's kind of sad that women have to do that. They have to fake, you know, having a boyfriend when they really don't have a boyfriend because they're afraid of what men might do to them. You know, because like there are some guys out there. If you don't give them what they want, they gonna take it. You know, like they gonna take it. They gonna get out of control. And I know you guys be like, nah, you're such a fucking male feminist and blah, 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 and bullshit. And I'm like, I have a daughter. Okay? I have a daughter. I have women in my life I care about. I have a sister. You know, like I have women in my life that are near and dear to me, and I wouldn't want anybody harassing them. I wouldn't want anybody making them do something that they don't want to do, you know? So I'm just coming at it not as a male feminist. I'm just coming at it as a decent fucking human being. You know, like, let's just be decent fucking human beings, for God's sakes. You know, like I'm sure you wouldn't want this to happen to your mother. You know, you gotta have a mother. You know, all you weirdo incel motherfuckers, you got a mom, right? You got a mom. I'm sure you wouldn't want anybody to hurt your mother. You know, you wouldn't want anybody to do anything to your mother that's disrespectful and degrading. You know, so don't do that to any other woman. How about that? Let's do that. Okay? But like, there's a lot of guys just fucking complaining about that shit. There's a whole monologue that Jennifer goes through where like Bruce is telling her to control her anger, and she's like, I'm always controlling my anger, you know, and she's talking about getting catcalled and being harassed and being and having to be mansplained and all this other stuff, you know, and that kind of triggered a lot of guys. I'm just like, grow the fuck up, bro. Just grow up. Just get out of your feelings, you know, and suck it up. Just suck it up, you know. like my aunt says, suck it up, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, suck it up, nigga. You know, that's it. But pull up your goddamn bootstraps and fucking get through it. You'll live. This woman ain't destroying your fucking life. She ain't destroying your fucking life. She ain't destroying your fucking day. Okay. But yeah, man, there's a bunch of motherfuckers just butthurt about that shit, and they need to like grow the fuck up, really. But anyway, but yeah, like I said, like she gets Jennifer is going through like the second episode is just pretty much Jennifer just adjusting to being She-Hulk. First episode is her training to be She-Hulk. She doesn't want to be a superhero, but she kind of has no choice. Not everybody knows who she is. She got fired from her old job because they don't want the problems of the She-Hulk, because they feel like she brings problems. She's gonna bring problems to the law firm. So like I said, there's this other law firm that hired her to represent superheroes and supervillains. I can't wait till they get into all of that. So I'm looking forward to episode 3. I'm looking forward to, now that they established all this stuff. Emil Blonsky broke out of prison, by the way, at the end of episode 2. So I'm looking forward to see where that goes. But overall, I think it's an okay show so far. I haven't seen, like I said, I have to see what else happens. I will probably return to the show after I'm done with the show. I'm not sure. I don't know if I want to do it like I did with Ms. Marvel, or if I want to do it week to week. But we're gonna see. We're gonna see how this goes. But yeah, I'm enjoying the show. I think it's one of the better shows. I didn't really enjoy Ms. Marvel as much. I didn't really enjoy Moon Knight as much. When it comes to Phase 4, a lot of the shows I looked at them with kind of apathy. You know, I thought I was gonna do that with She-Hulk, but looking back on it, I really enjoyed it. I'm enjoying the show. Didn't really enjoy Ms. Marvel. I wanted to enjoy Ms. Marvel, and I wanted to enjoy Moon Knight. Didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy Loki. I'm not really a fan of Loki anyway. I was just sitting through it so I could see Kang the Conqueror, you know, honestly. But yeah, man. So far, I like the show. So far, I like She-Hulk. Like I said, a lot of shows are kind of apathetic to me. I enjoyed Falcon and the Winter Soldier and WandaVision and What If. Those are like my 3 favorites so far. And this one might be up here so far too. Hawkeye's okay. That's another one that was just okay. We're gonna see where the show goes from here. We're gonna see where the MCU goes from here. So, also I forgot about episode 2. Hulk is on a Sicarian spaceship at one point towards the end of the episode. Like, he's on a Sicarian spaceship, and I'm like, where the fuck is Hulk going? You know, is he going back to Sakaar? Are we getting World War Hulk? Because in the comic, World War Hulk starts because he is sent to another planet by the Illuminati, but the Illuminati don't exist in this universe. We saw the Illuminati in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, but they're not our Illuminati. So we're gonna see if this is how we get World War Hulk. I don't know how they're gonna do World War Hulk, because they can't really do a solo Hulk movie without Universal. Maybe they'll do a working relationship like they did with Sony, because even like Namor, Namor is a Universal property as well, but he's showing up in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. That's their caveat. That's their out to use Namor. They put him in another person's movie, and that's what they've been doing. That's what they've been doing with the Hulk. Is like they've been using him in other movies. Like he's just been in Avengers movies or other people's movies. Like he was in Thor Ragnarok. He's in this show She-Hulk. I think She-Hulk is still owned by Marvel and Disney, so they could do that. That's kind of how he shows up. So I'm really interested to see how they're gonna use Hulk going forward in the MCU. But yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about. I'll be back with my Lethal Weapon 2 review right after these messages.
Who is it?
Police, open up.
How do I know you're the police?
After I shoot you through the door, you can examine the bullet. Open up.
Mel Gibson, Danny Glover.
Come on, let's go, Raj.
No, we shouldn't.
Let's go. Come on, Raj. Don't be a killjoy.
Oh, come on, we're back.
We're bad. You're black. I'm mad.
Come on, man. Hey, listen. If we're going, shouldn't I have a gun?
No.
Now, get ready for something lethal.
I'm surprised you haven't heard about me. You know, I got a bad reputation. I mean, sometimes I just go nuts like now.
Because the magic is back.
Come on, knock the window open.
You all right, man?
Yeah, I'm okay. Where were you, man? You my partner or what? Why didn't you follow me down?
Yeah, why didn't you follow him down?
Shut up! I'm 7 floors up!
Lethal Weapon 2.
You go first. I'm really too old for this.
You go first, I'll cover you.
Eeny, meeny, miny.
Good police work, officer.
Come on.
No.
Back to my place. Hey, I'll even cook.
You're lucky. I have to live with that.
You're not gonna make it.
I'm gonna make it.
You know, there's not enough room.
You were right, you know. Yeah, there wasn't enough room.
Lethal Weapon 2. This time, they're not taking any crap.
Just get off me, man. I don't want anybody to see us like that.
Lethal Weapon 2 from 1989. Let's get into the technical before we get into how I saw this as a kid. This movie was directed by the late, great Richard Donner, just like the first one. The screenplay was written by Jeffrey Boehm. I hope I'm saying that right. This movie had a budget of $30 million and brought in $227.9 million at the box office. That is a lot of money, even for 1989. I don't know what the 1989 box office looked like, but that's a lot of money for 1989. That's all I'm gonna say. The movie has a Rotten Tomatoes score of 82%. I would have given it higher, but you know, that's fucking Rotten Tomatoes. Let's get into how I saw this movie as a kid. First off, Lethal Weapon 2 is by far my favorite movie of all time. Notice I didn't say one of my favorite movies of all time. I believe in my heart that Lethal Weapon 2 is by far my favorite movie of all time. I think this has to be number one on my list because I've watched this movie so many times. Like it's almost insane the amount of times I've seen this movie. Out of all the Lethal Weapon movies, this is the one I go to the most. Like, Lethal Weapon 2 is my favorite. I like Lethal Weapon 3 and I like Lethal Weapon 4, but Lethal Weapon 2 by far my favorite. Throughout the whole film series, throughout the Lethal Weapon film series too. Lethal Weapon is probably my favorite series of all time, but 2 stands out to me. This review is just gives me an excuse to watch it again. You know, that's all. It just gave me an excuse to watch it again because I was just like, oh man, I gotta do Lethal Weapon 2. You know, I had to get through Lethal Weapon to do Lethal Weapon 2, but I love this installment of the film series. I saw all these movies when I was like super young, you know. I was practically a baby, you know, when the first 2 Lethal Weapons came out. I was 1, maybe. I have to say I was maybe like 1 when the first Lethal Weapon came out, and I was like, because my birthday's late. My birthday's in December, so I was probably 1 year old, because the first Lethal Weapon came out in '87, I believe. I believe the first Lethal Weapon came out in 1987, and this one came out in '89. So I had to be no more than maybe 3 years old when Lethal Weapon 2 came out. So I watched these movies on television with my dad, you know, because like I watched a lot. Like I said, like that was like a big bonding moment with my father, was watching a lot of action movies with my dad. You know, like that's how we bonded. Like we would sit on the couch and like watch HBO or Cinemax or even like regular television. Like they would show these movies on like regular television, and like we would just sit down. We would watch like Lethal Weapon or Bloodsport or anything with like Don the Dragon Wilson in it. You remember him? You know, like if you remember Don the Dragon Wilson, you know, like we would watch movies like this. So like this was like my bonding moment with my dad. But this one has to be my favorite so far. I love how this movie starts. Like it just starts with like a long ass car chase. Like this car chase, I think I timed it. I looked at the time on it. This car chase lasts 6 minutes. The first 6 minutes of Lethal Weapon 2 is a car chase. It's like they said, this is the sequel. We gotta do it big. You know, it's like pretty much what they were saying. Like, we gotta do this big. And honestly, I'm not a fan of car chases, but this one is well done. It's very action packed. It manages to like insert humor in it as well. Because I like when there's a part where like Riggs gets out the car, played by Mel Gibson. Riggs gets out the car and he starts running after the car they're trying to chase. And Murtaugh, played by Danny Glover, he haven't finished. I'm trying to get it out. But like Murtaugh's driving the car and he's like, Riggs. He's like, get your slow ass in the car. I love that. I fucking laughed so fucking hard when he said that shit. Cause like he just running. Cause like he running. Cause like they got him running. Like he like booking it. Like he like getting speed. Like he gonna catch the car. And then like Riggs is like driving like maybe like 5 miles per hour or some shit. And you just notice that Riggs is not running that fast. And Murtaugh is just like, get your slow ass in the car. I love it. Like from the start, Mel Gibson and Danny Glover have like amazing chemistry. It's like they just take off from the first one and just go into the second one like nothing changed. You know, like Riggs and Murtaugh are the ultimate like buddy cop duo. You know, every buddy cop movie or buddy cop show is just redoing Riggs and Murtaugh. They set the template. You know, anything after this, Bad Boys, Rush Hour, I'm trying to think of, cause like you do have Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte. They did 48 Hours. You got Eddie Murphy and Judge Reinhold and John Ashton with the Beverly Hills Cop movies. You know, you got them with that, but I think you even got Gregory Hines and Billy Crystal with Running Scared. But I think the ultimate buddy cop duo, which I think everybody's fucking doing, is Riggs and Murtaugh. They are the ultimate buddy cop duo. everybody after Riggs and Murtaugh is just pretty much doing Riggs and Murtaugh. That's what they're doing. Murtaugh's family is back, including his fine ass wife. His wife fine as fuck. She got a booty out of this world. Goddamn. That woman has a booty. She got like a airbag booty. Like it looks soft. But there I go, being a goddamn pervert. But I am sorry after I talked all this stuff about being a decent human being and the She-Hulk. But I just want to be a man for a couple minutes. I'm not gonna like run up on this woman or nothing. I'm just saying, Murtaugh's wife is fine, but anyway, like Murtaugh's family has always been the heart of this series to me. Plus it's also cool to see like a black man be a family man for once. Because like I don't think you saw that before Murtaugh. I'm trying to think. Other than maybe like Bill Cosby, but now saying his name makes me want to fucking throw up now. After finding out what the fuck that dude's been doing to women. But yeah, it's just there's no dirt on Danny Glover, So and he's like what 80 something now, so. Hopefully no skeletons come out before he's dead or something, or even after he's dead. But Danny Glover looks like he's been like just a clean guy, clean living dude, So I don't think I have to worry about Danny Glover coming back as a fucking fraud, I don't, not that I know of, but like he's the ultimate family man, Murtaugh. And like I said, cool to see a black man as a family man. We had after that we had like Reginald Vell Johnson, for Family Matters, another cop, I forgot his name, Carl Winslow. Yeah, like Carl Winslow, like Reginald Vell Johnson is Carl Winslow. He was the ultimate family man. Then we had James Avery as Philip Banks, like the other ultimate black family man. But like it was just cool in the 80s to see a black man, strong, taking care of his family. Like Roger Murtaugh is a true role model to a lot of black kids, I think. It's also weird knowing what we know about Mel Gibson to see him in a house full of black people and not go insane, If like when we found out about Mel Gibson, like that just proves how good of an actor Mel Gibson is, because he's always in the Murtaugh family's house, and like he's like the only white guy in the house, because like even the scene when like they first go in his house, because like they're at Murtaugh's house to watch his daughter, his oldest daughter Rianne, be in a commercial, and like Riggs is like the only white guy. Like this is weird seeing Riggs be the only white guy in the house, and he's just sitting there with a whole bunch of black people on the couch. So like knowing what we know about Mel Gibson now, so that was just weird to me now. But like yeah, Murtaugh's daughter ends up being in a condom commercial, which is just fucking hilarious to me. Like his reaction is hilarious to me of her being in a condom commercial. It's just so funny because like he's so overprotective of her. Like he was overprotective of her in the first Lethal Weapon. He's just always overprotective of his oldest daughter. I never really understood why fathers are so obsessed with like their daughter's sexuality. I never really understood that. I, as a father myself to a daughter, like who will most likely grow up and look like Murtaugh's daughter, Rianne, because like my daughter, like she's a very pretty, like fair-skinned, little girl, not being a colorist, you know, like not doing that, but like she's really she's a pretty girl, and she's, you know, she looks like Rihanna. She's probably gonna grow up and look like Rihanna, you know. So, you know, like she's a very very gorgeous young girl. You know, I say this as her father, you know, but I don't think that I'll be obsessed about who she's having sex with. You know, I don't think that's any of my business. You know, like I think I'm just here to guide her and help her make the right decisions. That's my job as a father, you know, to make sure she makes the right decisions and just to guide her in the right direction. Whoever she's having sex with, that's none of my fucking business. It really is none of my business. All I want is the person to be good to her. That's all. I don't want her to get involved with somebody that's gonna hurt her. You know, like that's gonna hurt her physically, because I will be there and I will rip his fucking head off. You know, that's all I got to say. So, future boys, whoever listening to this podcast, you hurt my daughter, I'm coming for you. Okay? Good talk. And then finally, we meet the villains, which are a bunch of fucking racist Dutchmen. And like, I don't want to call them South Africans because everybody calls them like, oh, they're from South Africa. I don't really consider the Dutch in South Africa South Africans. I don't consider them Africans because they kind of fucking colonized South Africa. You had apartheid. You know, they went in there and they were just really fucking racist to the natives. You know, so I really don't consider them Africans. You know, I don't consider them Africans because like they were just the worst to native African people, and I just don't consider them fucking Africans. These villains kind of always confuse me, even when I was a kid. Like even now, like I watched the movie again to try to figure out what were they doing. I don't get it. I never knew what they were trying to accomplish. Like, what is the end game? What is the goal for these villains? I don't understand. But anyway, they end up breaking into Murtaugh's house, and they tie him and his wife up and threaten to kill his family if they don't stay away from their operations. Because I think this is from the car chase. They found out like who was like the lead detective on this case, and they found out, oh, this is the one, and they called him a kefa. I think that's like the Dutch word for nigger. You know, I think that's the Dutch word for nigger. So, they call him, oh, he's a kefa. You know, so, they're just like, oh, let's go threaten this guy. You know, like, and then they tie him up. They tie his wife up. And then they tell him to stay away from the operation and all this stuff, or they're gonna kill his family. At that point, that's when I throw being a cop out the window. Honestly, if I was a cop and this happened to me, I'm throwing my badge out the window because I'm hunting these motherfuckers the fuck down. You know, like, you don't get to come in my house, tie me and my wife up, threaten my family, threaten my kids, and live. You know, you don't get to do that. I'm hunting you. I'm throwing that badge out the window. I'm hunting these motherfuckers the fuck down one by one. You know, that will be my fucking quest, to hunt these motherfuckers down one by one. Because you don't get to do that and live. Okay? You don't get to do that shit. But yeah, like Roger Murtaugh is a better man than me. That's all I got to say. Then we meet. I'm not up here trying to act like a tough guy or anything like that. You know, but I'm just saying, just as a man, you know, you don't get to do that. You don't get to fucking do that. Especially as a cop. You know, if I was a cop and I got guns and shit, these motherfuckers is dead. That's all I got to say. And then we meet Leo Getz, played by Joe Pesci, who Riggs and Murtaugh have been assigned to protect. It's kind of funny because like they kind of switch roles. Because like they were chasing the they were chasing the Dutchman, and now they're protecting Leo Getz. They're like doing protective custody. But Leo Getz, Joe Pesci is Leo Getz. He's just automatically annoying and automatically funny. Because Joe Pesci is just such a great actor, man. I'm like, he's just so. I think he's such an underrated actor too, because he could be a comedian. I mean, like a comedian. He could be a chameleon. Sorry, like he could be a chameleon. You know, because like he could be menacing in something like Goodfellas or something like Casino, and then he could be legit funny in something like this or something like My Cousin Vinny or something like that. You know, like he's a very funny dude here. Like, what I find funny about Riggs and Murtaugh, like they're supposed to be protecting Leo. They're supposed to be protecting Leo, but they just end up putting him in more danger. Is what they do. I think even like their captain talks about that. You know, like even their captain says like he's like you brought him on a stakeout or something like that. He said, like the captain. He's like, you're supposed to be protecting him. You're not supposed to be bringing him on the goddamn stakeout. You know, I guess, you know, Lethal Weapon, protective custody wouldn't be very fun of a movie. You know, so I guess that would be boring, right? But like, I like that they kind of like pointed that out. Like their captain was like, you brought him on the stakeout. You know, like you're supposed to be protecting him. He was just like, but yeah, Riggs ends up falling in love with like one of the main villain's like secretary, like, played by Patsy Kensit. She's a Dutch actress, really cute woman, really pretty woman. But that becomes kind of like a conflict of interest, you know, because it's kind of like you kind of shitting where you eat, you know. You know, because like you're fucking with the villain's secretary, you know, like this guy wants to kill you, but you're messing with his secretary. You know this, but anyway, I also wanted to point out how Mel Gibson's like Australian accent keeps popping out in and out in this movie. This is the one time I actually noticed it, because like for the longest time I didn't even know that Mel Gibson was Australian. Not gonna lie, I didn't know that Mel Gibson was Australian until Lethal Weapon 4. Because I remember there was a commercial with Chris Rock, because Chris Rock's in Lethal Weapon 4, and like they're doing like this giveaway or something like that, and he says, you can win a trip. He said, you can win a trip to Sydney, Australia. He said, like, it's the hometown of my Lethal Weapon co-star Mel Gibson. I was like, Mel Gibson's Australian? I was like, I never knew that Mel Gibson was Australian. Like, it like blew my fucking mind that he was Australian. But yeah, then we get the Murtaugh on the toilet scene. The Murtaugh on the toilet scene has to be my favorite scene in this whole movie, because it's such an inventive scene. You know, like who thinks of toilet bombs? Like who thinks of that shit? You never think about, oh, I'm gonna sit on the toilet and then my ass gonna blow up. You know, like you know, nobody thinks of that. But like it's a scene that's both funny and tense, and like it's brilliant how they pull both of those things off, because it's funny because Murtaugh's on the toilet, but it's tense because this motherfucker could die. You know, like he can't get off the toilet, because if he gets off the toilet, kaboom, he's dead. And also, like, this scene also shows you how much Riggs and Murtaugh love each other. You know, like it shows like they're more than partners, they're brothers, man. They're real brothers. Because even like when like Bomb Squad is there, and like they're telling Riggs, like, Riggs, you gotta get out, man. And Riggs like, I'm not leaving him. You know, like he's just like, I'm not leaving him. And then like the Bomb Squad guy's like, okay. And he gave him a flak jacket. He's like, you gotta put this on though. You know, gave him a flak jacket. And They're about to be like, he's about to pull Murtaugh off the toilet. That sounds funny. He's about to pull Murtaugh off the toilet, and Murtaugh's like, Riggs. And he's just looking at him like he's saying I love you he's saying I love you with his eyes, and like Riggs is like, I know, man. He's like, I know. And like Riggs is kind of looking at him like, I love you too, you know. So he's just like, and like it's a heartwarming scene, man. Like it just shows like their just like companionship and their camaraderie, and like it's awesome. Then Riggs goes back to simping for the villain secretary. You know, like I said, he really likes shitting where he eats, doesn't he? He really likes that shit. So after that, like the villains just start taking out the LAPD one by one. You know, like while Riggs is getting his dick wet. You know, like, he's having sex with the villain secretary like multiple times. Like he's piping her the fuck down. But then like the bad guys find out where he lives, and like they just start blasting at his trailer. And then like they end up kidnapping Riggs, and they end up kidnapping Riggs and the secretary. He finds out that like one of the Dutchmen is actually responsible for his wife's death, which I didn't like. I didn't like that. I felt like that was kind of tacked on to give Riggs a motivation to like kill this guy. You know, they just give him a motivation to like kill this dude. It's like him being a criminal is not enough, and him trying to murder him is not enough. It's like you gotta throw in like, oh yeah, I killed your wife. You know, so it's like, wait, what? You gotta throw that shit in there too. But they also kill the secretary, by the way. Like the secretary's dead. They like dump her. They kill her and dump her at the bottom of the fucking ocean. It's just another like heartbreaking thing for Riggs. It just seems like Riggs can't find love. You know, so like it's just, and then like afterwards, like Riggs gets himself free. He gets free. He beats up the bad guys, gets himself free, and like he finds, like you said, he finds a body at the bottom of the ocean, and he just starts walking around with the secretary's dead body on the beach like a madman. You know, he's just like walking around with her fucking lifeless dead body on the beach. He's just like, ugh. He's just walking around like a fucking crazy person. And like, then after that, Riggs does what I thought they should have done at the beginning of the movie, and just decides to just kill these Dutch motherfuckers. You know, I was like, why? If you did that in the first place, we wouldn't be in this situation. But then if they did this in the first place, we wouldn't have a movie. So, you know. I also want to mention the main villain. I went all this time without mentioning the main villain, played by Josh Ackerlin. I didn't really mention him because for the most part, he's pretty dry. He's a pretty dry villain, you know, and you know, he's like an older guy, you know, like he's an older man. He doesn't really do much, but just like bark orders. But he has the best facial expressions. Anytime something happens, you know, that actor has great facial expressions. You know, but like there's a scene where like Riggs is like kind of like just harassing him, like just following him around in his car, because like he's in his car, and then like he sees Riggs, and he's just like the greatest fucking facial reactions. There's a scene that I think is funny between the two of them, cause like when they like go raid like the Dutchman's house, and Riggs is like, come down here, dickhead, or something like that, and then that's when I think their captain comes in or some shit, and he's just like, oh yeah, these guys got got diplomatic immunity or some shit like that. And Josh Ackerlin's character says, he's like, who is the dickhead now? You know? And he's just got this face. It's just like, just so smug, you know? He's just like a fucking Cheshire cat, just a fucking smug smile. Like, who is this dickhead now? You know? Oh, like, I just love that. I just love the actor's facial expressions throughout this whole movie. It's fucking hilarious. I love that Murtaugh got to kill Josh Ackerman's villain character. He got to kill the main villain because, like, he went through the most shit. Like, they came in his house and threatened his family, and he was almost killed on the toilet and all this shit. You know, he went through the most shit in his whole movie. So it's like rightfully so, he should kill the main villain. And he says my favorite line, my favorite tagline in an action movie. When Josh Ackerman, he's holding up his badge. He's like, diplomatic immunity. And he shoots, and Murtaugh shoots him in the head. And he's like, it's just been revoked. I love that line. That's my favorite tagline in an action movie, other than like Commando, where Arnold Schwarzenegger throws like that fucking pipe through Vernon Wells' like stomach. And he says, blow off some steam, then it just like that. Other than that, favorite tagline. But yeah, they also fake us out with a Riggs death. Like, Riggs almost dies because, like, I think Josh Ackerman shoots Riggs first. Like, he shoots Riggs like multiple times. He's like, bow, 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 bow. He's like, he gets shot like multiple times. And like, so like, they kind of fake us out. We think that Riggs is dead. I think what happened with that, I think I read this somewhere when I was doing my research. I think originally they wanted to kill Riggs. I think he was supposed to like sacrifice himself for Murtaugh or some shit like that. But the studio fought against it because like they wanted to make more movies. Like they wanted to make a Lethal Weapon 3. So they shot 2 endings. I think they said like they showed the first ending where Riggs dies and like the crowd is like crying. You know what they said? I think they said like in the screening, in the test screening, like the crowd's crying, like people are crying. They got tears in their eyes because Riggs is dead. And then they showed them the other one where Riggs lives, and like it got more of a positive reaction. So they went with that one. And also they wanted to make a Lethal Weapon 3. So I don't even know why they shoot 2 endings, but that's what they did. This movie's still a great movie to me. You know, like I said, Mel Gibson, Danny Glover, great fucking chemistry. I love the mix of action and comedy in this movie. It's awesome. They mix it just right. You know, I love how they mix action and comedy just right. They don't do it to where it's corny, you know, to where it's just like, oh yeah, they threw a joke in at an inappropriate moment. You know, they don't do that. Like I said, the villains are kind of dry. Didn't really know their purpose, but you know, it can't be perfect, you know. But overall, this movie's still a great watch. I give it a 4 out of 5. I gotta give it like one less point for the dry villains, you know, like, because that's the only part I didn't like. Like the villains were so you know. So, but yeah, that was Lethal Weapon 2. Join me next week when I will be reviewing 2000's Remember the Titans. Until next time, peace.